Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Briar Greaves Insurance. Protecting your assets starts with a company that you can count on. So whether that's auto, homeowners, flood, boaters, or business insurance, there's nobody better in the business to work with than the great people over at Briar Greaves Insurance. For more information about them, visit their website, briargreavesinsurance.com, or you can give them a call at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. It is a Thursday edition of the Pewter Report podcast, and the Bucs have their biggest game of the year. Does it coincide with the end of 2025 coming? Yes, partially, but it's all hands on deck with the 7-7 Bucs, with number 7 Bucky Irving on the screen there, and the 7-7 Carolina Panthers duking it out to see who is going to lead the worst division in football, the NFC South. But we hope it's the Bucs and they're able to get another division title. So we're going to break down more of the game this afternoon, talk a little bit about what happened at the Bucs facility today with conversations from Josh Grizzard. There's an injury report to get to and a whole lot more. So all comments and questions and super chats are all welcomed, and hope to get to a bunch of them on today's show. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is my fellow colleague and co-host of this Pewter Report podcast, Adam Sly Slavon. Adam, hello again. Saw you this afternoon, but in the couple of hours we've been apart, how are we doing?
We're doing great. Really excited for today's show because we were talking just a little bit beforehand. It's been kind of rough. I haven't been on as much this season because of scheduling conflicts. I mean, next Thursday it's already gonna be Christmas, but keeping it back to Bucs football, it's a really interesting time of the year because the title of the show is the Bucs' biggest game of the year. I think it's the most season-defining game, win or lose. I think if they win, there's still enough hope maybe that they can do something in the playoffs, but they lose. Even if they make the playoffs as an 8 or 9 win team, there just isn't that optimism. So I feel this is a last case, the most dire situation to have any hope left for this year. But that also makes for a pretty entertaining show.
It was so funny on yesterday's podcast. Someone super chatted us and asked, so what if they tie, both lose and tie once again? Because obviously they play Carolina in the season finale with week 18 as well. And technically the Bucs would win that division. But the way that the NFC South has gone, I don't think we can rule out 2 ties between the Bucs and the Panthers. And really the way that things have gone. And on yesterday's show, Scott and I think, spent a little more time just talking in generalities about how the defense has struggled and a lot about the future of Todd Bowles and stuff like that. And we are going to talk about the defense today as well. But we want to focus on the Bucs offense going up against the Carolina Panthers defense, because this is a tough group for Carolina. And I think in a lot of the games that they've won, the big upsets that they've had, some of it is Bryce Young playing a little bit better. But that defense definitely has some really good players on that side of the football, which makes this matchup fascinating going up against the Bucs that feels like has a new lease on life a little bit. You know, Josh Grizzard talked about a glimpse into what this offense can be with having all 4 healthy wide receivers and called it a building block as well. So, Adam, just kind of looking at this matchup, the Bucs offense and Carolina's defense, what kind of stands out to you a little bit? Or, what do you think will be some of the biggest factors in the Bucs trying to have some success when they hit the road on Sunday?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think for the Bucs offense right now, Josh Grizzard led off his press conference today. He talked about the execution and the timing, being on point and having a couple extra days to kind of look over film from the Saints game, from the Falcons game, because they didn't really have time to look at the Saints game because they had such a short, condensed week playing football on Thursday night. But just having that extra time, he was mentioning better execution, but I was kind of toggling back and forth between the 2024 offense and the 2025 offense. And just situationally, Matt, I don't feel that this unit has been firing on all cylinders. And last year, Grizzard, he was in charge of the third down offense, but it's decreased from 50.93% to 38.71% this year. And you kind of look across the board, just the running game, it hasn't been like a big time difference maker. You see Bucky Irving only averaging 3.5 yards per carry on the season. And then you look at Baker Mayfield, like Baker Mayfield, he's taken on like some of the criticism, some of the blows that Todd Bowles has been dealt. And it's partly on Mayfield, but it's really not on him. It's just the defense in general. You can't afford to lose last week's game, really the past two, and just a slide in general. So I think really to get past that, Mayfield, like Grizzard said, he's in a good spot. Like he's feeling much healthier, but he has to be that difference maker, Matt. He has to be
Yeah.
that MVP kind of quarterback for this team to go on any type of run. And it's doubtful just because he hasn't been as efficient as he was earlier in the year.
Yeah, and Grizzard's not in a position yet, being a first-time play caller, the biggest role of his young coaching career. Grizzard's not at the point where he can just kind of call out guys immediately. I mean, I guess he could, but it'd be a little gutsy, especially with, this isn't Liam Cohen's offense. And I don't want to keep, comparing Grizzard to Cohen and stuff like that. But Cohen last year, if he wanted to be like, hey, this guy's not getting the job done, he could probably come out and say it. One, because he's a little bit more of a fiery guy, but two,
Right.
the offense was putting up points. Baker was having the best year of his career. So you can kind of understand if he was going to call someone out or not. Now, Josh Grizzard hasn't been fair to him. Not exactly. I mean, you missed Tristan Wirfs at the beginning of the season. Luke Gedecke's gone for a big chunk of the middle of the season. No Bucky for a majority of it. And then we all know what happened with the receivers. Godwin, Evans, McMillan. Now it's everyone, really. Now everyone is finally back. But to your point, he did say Baker's looking better. He's looking healthier. But there are several throws that Baker has missed, not just on Thursday, but really the past couple of games. There's been pockets that have been clean or clean enough when you consider the turnstile. When I say turnstile, I don't mean necessarily terrible blocking, but the turnstile of Ben Bredesen's in at guard. Now Ben Bredesen's on IR. Here comes Mike Jordan. Cody Mauch out for the year. Now Dan Feeney's in. You had Luke Haggard and Elijah Klein starting in the home opener. There's been just so many different people at the offensive guard position that, you can't expect the cleanest of pockets every single time. But Baker's getting quick, happy feet. He's missing throws. And there's a difference as well between not being exactly on target and still giving your receivers an opportunity to catch the football. I think Emeka Egbuka's drop 2 weeks ago in the end zone kind of falls into that category where Egbuka probably should have had it, but if Baker's a little bit more accurate, he doesn't have to jump for it and everything like that. And then there's just complete missed throws that Baker is having. And it wasn't a complete missed throw on the one against Atlanta to Egbuka late in the game. But if they complete that, bam, it's a first down for the Bucs, and we're talking about an 8-6 Buccaneers and not a 7-7 Buccaneers. I mean, it's no secret in the NFL, it's start and stops with the quarterback position. And you're right. If Baker doesn't bring his A game for not just Sunday, but the rest of the season, there's going to be a lot of major changes. And Baker will still be there, but we're talking about possibly a new head coach. I know a lot of Bucs fans in this comments will probably be like, yeah, new head coach and all of this stuff. I still put a lot more blame on Todd Bowles, but, Grizzard and Baker aren't wrong either, saying that, hey, we had a chance to close the game out, and we just flat out did not do it.
And you know what's telling, though, at the same time, Matt, is like, even though the offense has all these issues, you could still count on them to at least keep the team in the game. And the same can't be said for the defense. And while you have Baker Mayfield during his press conference, he's taking on the accountability. Like Todd Bowles yesterday, he's like, oh, yeah, accountability has been a theme. We've been talking about it. You can define it in so many different ways. It's like nobody's really coming out and calling out the players. I mean, the defense has been awful. There's no getting around it. But there's not, like, even the coach isn't really calling out players as he should be. He's just saying, oh, every week it's just a different group of guys. We're not communicating. It's like, come on. Like, call him out, and that's how you fire him up. And I just don't see the fire, the urgency, and really with Bowles, the innovation to really make these changes. And we had Rondé Barber on the show on Monday, and he was talking about what kind of base defense he would run, like what stylistic changes he would make to the defense. But it's like Bowles hasn't done that, and now you're at week 16. It's really hard to make those changes. So I don't know how much the defense can really turn the corner. And to me, that's the bigger overarching issue because the offense, for all its warts, for not having a full set of players, now they do. And Mike Evans, he talked about it yesterday. He was like, we know we can play at a higher caliber, so I can trust the Bucs offense to score 30 points a lot more than I can trust the defense to not give up 20.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if we're giving out pieces of the pie of who's to blame for this Buck season, more than half of the pie is going to the defense and a lot of their issues. And not that the offense is without fault, but then again, when you look at all the different injuries, there's been way more towards the offensive side than what's going on with the defensive side. And it's coming down to the point, and again, it's not fair, but it's the reality that the Bucs are in. The Bucs are going to have to win games and shootouts. They're going to have to be like Baker Mayfield's Oklahoma Sooners when Baker was winning the
Yeah.
Heisman, of just not expecting really anything from your defense. And you got to go out and win 35-31, 40-37. I don't know if it'll get that bad. And does that mean more pressure for the Bucs offense? Yeah, for sure. I mean, they scored 28 points. They should have won that game against Atlanta, and it did not need to be close. But they had two chances to close out the game, and they didn't. Baker threw the interception, and then they weren't able to move the football. It was a bad running play, then some bad decisions with not being able to kill the clock. So once again, for the second season in a row, it's not fair to the Bucs offense, but realistically, they're going to have to probably score 30 points per game. And they have the ability to do it now with not just that the receivers are back. It's Mike Evans looked sensational on Thursday night, mossing Kobe Bryant and making big plays and drawing a lot of penalties as well, which of course will get overlooked because it doesn't show up on the stats. But Jalen McMillan looked good, even though it was 2 catches. I felt it was a very impactful 2 catches that he made, almost scoring a touchdown. Chris Godwin Jr. with the octopus. I think it really eased the tensions of Emeka Egbuka and all the drops that he had the week before, plus the whole running back situation. So this offense is very, very capable of scoring 30-plus points. It is a tough Panthers defense that they are going up against, though, especially in the secondary, and then, of course, up front with Derek Brown in the middle, with the up and down play of Graham Barden, and then again, all the changes to the offensive guard position. I worry about the Baker happy feet, the Baker, roller coaster of himself just being in the pocket trying to, extend plays and get guys open.
And you mentioned like the fact that like the Bucs, they really need to kind of win these shootout games. They did that in Seattle. They won 38-35. Like you saw Baker like just dialed in, locked in, and I think they could still get back to that just based on the fact of better overall health. But you mentioned some of the drawbacks to what this offense has done this year, and much of that stems from Mayfield kind of going outside the pocket, making those inaccurate throws, which there is some concern because they're going up against J.C. Horn, who has 5 interceptions, 8 passes defense, and then Mike Jackson. Bucs have Michael Jordan. The Panthers have Michael Jackson, and he has 3 interceptions. He has a pick 6 this year. Like, they know how to get their hands on the football, and so that's concerning because Mayfield, he hasn't been as efficient. The lower variance kind of gunslinger play style that he's had has led to more turnovers, and some of it's on the receivers, like Emeka Egbuka not catching the football, but at the same time, they need to find a way to get back to where they were last year because all the talent's there to consistently score 30 points a game, but they need to consistently do that. They need to have consistent play calling. And I think Grizzard, he called an improved game on Thursday night. It wasn't perfect. I'd probably give it a B, but he at least showed some innovation where there wasn't Cade Otton. Let's try to bench Akuma, Vita Vea. Let's get some reserve offensive linemen out there. But I think they could take it a step further, add more running back rotation. Like they want to go with the hot hand, go with the hot hand. Rashad White only had 1 carry. I thought that was kind of inexcusable because Bucky Irving, he had 16, but he only averaged like 3.8 yards a carry. So there are some small minor improvements the offense can make, but overall, I think they're in a good spot with the chance to do great things.
It's so funny you mentioned the running game for the Bucs because that's what I want to bring up next, and specifically Rashad White. And I'll be one of the first to admit, I was someone that when Rachaad White was getting more attempts than Bucky Irving, I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, give Bucky the ball a lot more. But now the pendulum has swung the other way. And there's a difference between the pendulum swinging with this one. Because if Bucky Irving was running for 145 yards and stuff, which he's very capable of, and he did a couple times last year and had some great games against Carolina specifically, then I'm fine with Rachaad White only having one rushing attempt and Sean Tucker, getting some attempts at the goal line, but not a ton overall in the game. But to your point, when Bucky came back, I think it's fair to say Bucky's best game since he returned from his injury was his first game when he
Yeah.
came back a couple of weeks ago. And then it slowed down the last 2 weeks. Now, 2 weeks ago, it was insane with the weather and it was like really rainy and stuff like that. But Bucky didn't have the big impact in Thursday night's game that I think a lot of us would have imagined, where at the same time, Rachaad White rips off that 20-yard run, and that's it. And then Sean Tucker's the guy that scores the touchdown. And then I'd even go back to that Saints game 2 weeks ago. Bucky had the big run, but if you take that out, he was only averaging, I think, less than 3 yards per attempt.
I think it was
Where
less
one of
than
the best,
2.
yeah, okay, yeah, maybe
It was
he was even
bad.
less than 2. And then in the Saints game, one of the best drives they had that led to a touchdown, they pretty much only ran it and didn't even throw it that much. And it was all Rachaad White and Sean Tucker. And then Sean Tucker ended up with the touchdown. And this isn't saying like give up on Bucky Irving. That would be a ridiculous statement to say. But when Bucky's wildly outsnapping these other two running backs and the production isn't there and the running game is just kind of stalling from time to time, when the other two guys are working, isn't that what Todd Bowles and Josh Grizzard have always said? Ride the hot hand. Ride the hot hand. Now all of a sudden you're not riding the hot hand. And I don't want to be the guy that like 1 week it's working and don't say anything, and then as soon as it's not working, be like, hey, like why
It's not working.
didn't you run
Yeah.
this guy more? Why didn't you run that guy more? That's not like what we're trying to do. We're not trying to be in like the gotcha business and stuff like that. It's just the proof is it's right in front of all of our eyes watching the game. Rachaad White, bam, 20-yard run. That's it. That's the only time you use him. The only other time he touched the ball was the screen pass, which went for 8 yards. Not going to complain about an 8-yard screen. He was in the game a fair amount because he's a third down back and he's their best pass blocking running back. But he wasn't involved that much. Sean Tucker, who had an explosive run against the Buffalo Bills several weeks ago, not getting those midfield runs. He's only getting them at the goal line and short yardage situations, which probably isn't even Sean Tucker's best attribute
No.
as a running back. And I don't know. I would certainly commit to running the football, which I like Josh Grizzard has done with that. But the utilization of all three running backs, I think, could use a little bit of a makeover.
It could. And on the flip side, when you look at like the Carolina Panthers, we'll dive deeper into the defense a little bit later. But what they've done with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, I mean, collectively,
Yeah.
they have 327 carries, 1,440 yards between the both of them. And you've seen like Rico Dowdle kind of take over that backfield. He has 2/3 of the carries, but Chuba Hubbard, I think a couple weeks ago, the split was like 18-15, and they both had success. They were both kind of bouncing off one another. And I think that's kind of what the Bucs backfield needs to do, because Irving can't really shoulder the whole backfield. And I don't even know, Matt, if he is as close to 100%. Like, I think it's going to take the offseason to kind of rest and recover from his injuries this year. But you have Rachaad White. He's a free agent at the end of this year. At least kind of use him a little bit more. Sean Tucker, I think, would be a great early down runner. Like, you want to set the tempo, 1st and 10, he can get 4 or 5 yards easy, I think. I think he's really dynamic and explosive, but they have to do something. And I think you have 3 good running backs. You have a full set of wide receivers for the first time this season. Now it's time to catch defenses off guard, off balance, and utilize all those weapons. And in turn, that's going to make Baker Mayfield maybe a little bit less antsy to kind of put it all on his shoulders.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate one more time, if the Bucs start this game against Carolina, Bucky gets the start, which would make sense, and we all predict. And his first 5 runs go for 65 yards, not like one run, 65 yards, but in total. Then, yeah, stay with him, because that would be the hot hand. But don't be afraid to have trust and belief in some of these other guys on the team. Because also, I mean, Rachaad White, not a guarantee he's going to be back next season. Might as well get the most out of him as you can, because it'd be mutually beneficial as well. Because Rachaad White wants to put as much on his resume as he possibly can when he's going to be looking at other teams this offseason. And that's not to say he's going to be completely done with Tampa Bay, but Bucs obviously could use his production as well as they try to win this very, very important football game. And it would also be very, very important if they have a majority of their players. So let's take a look at the injury report. Actually, first, let's hear a message from the good people over at Jorgensen Law, and then we will get into the injury report.
Welcome to Jorgensen Law PA, where our family's legacy drives us to fight for your rights. Specializing in personal injury, workers' compensation, and Social Security, we're committed to winning for you. No fees unless we succeed. Trust in our family to help yours. Let's achieve justice together.
That's right. Jorgensen Law is the official law firm of PewterReport.com and the Pewter Report podcast. Any injury-related story we do on your Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be brought to you by Jorgensen Law. They are the champions of the injured and disabled. Their offices are based out of St. Petersburg, Florida. You can get a free case evaluation just by chatting with Jorgensen Law. Their number is 727-347-7733. That's 727-347-7733. And they don't take any fees until they win your case. So if you have any type of case going on with anything injury-wise or disability-wise, give Jorgensen Law a call because they are the champions of the injured and the disabled. Okay, the injury report for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not wildly different than what we saw yesterday with this team. And a little bit of an upgrade as well. Lavonte David, who did not practice yesterday, he was limited in practice today dealing with that knee injury. So a bit of an upgrade for him because a lot of times he doesn't even practice until Friday. So
yeah,
good to see him putting the work in the middle of the week. Mike Evans did not participate, but he was out there. Like, I physically saw him come out to practice when they were warming up and stuff like that. But Mike listed collarbone / rest, did not participate. Cade Otton practiced in full with a knee injury. Savase Dennis full once again with the hip injury. Chris Godwin Jr., he's the one I noticed he wasn't out there because he'll typically warm up with everybody and then go inside like Mike does too, and then they walk out together, but only Evans walked out today, not Chris Godwin Jr. But he's just resting as well, fibula / rest, but did not participate. Tyke Smith, neck and shoulder, practiced in full, and Rashad Wisdom, who just got taken off of the injured reserve list, he practiced in full as well, the quad injury. For the Panthers, a couple of different shifts and adjustments. Offensive tackle Ikem Ikwanu also did not participate for the second day in a row with the knee injury. Guard Damian Lewis had an illness. He was limited today, so he upgraded from did not participate. Teteroa McMillan was a full participant today with the foot and ankle. He didn't practice yesterday, so he's trending to play. Turk Wharton, hamstring, did not participate. J.C. Horn had a rest day yesterday, practice in full. Taylor Moton back was limited. David Moore was full again. And then Trevin Wallace limited with a shoulder injury. He actually downgraded because he was full yesterday and then limited on Thursday. So there is your injury report for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. Not really a crazy different. I never thought Lavonte David wasn't in the running to play in this game. But I got to say, Cade Otton has a gigantic brace on his knee. And I credit, the toughness for him playing. He's usually in for almost every single snap on the offensive side. But damn, I wonder how much of that knee brace is really going to limit him because he's not the most quickest of tight ends. And I know he, is he can block and receive better than, Payne Durham, who mostly is just a blocker and only has one catch on the season. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little curious about Cade Otton, who's kind of struggled the past couple of weeks, if it's the best idea for him to play in this game.
Yeah, and especially because I don't know about you, Matt, but I'm getting a little bit of deja vu of last year when Cade Otton was injured,
Yeah,
and you saw Devin Culp, the Culp of personality, make an appearance,
right.
and then also Payne Durham, and they were kind of thriving a little bit. And I think Devin Culp has. I asked Josh Grizzard today, I'm like, what do you think about him adding more of a vertical element to this offense? Because he led the team in yards per catch last season, and he scored his first touchdown this last week. Why not give him a little bit more run, especially because Cade Otton, he might be the better all-around tight end, but again, and we could talk about the linebackers too. I think it's an audition the last couple of games for Cade Otton, and if he's not out there or he's playing, at least give the other tight ends a shot to see what you have in them. Like Payne Durham, could he be anything more than just a blocker? Does he have any, I don't know, red zone ability? And for Devin Culp, could he really stretch the field? Could he make those big plays? We just haven't seen it yet. I don't think he's been given a fair shake. And then you look at the linebacker position with Levante David and Servassier Dennis being on the injury report. I'm really curious to see like the rotation because they brought in Anthony Walker on the 53-man roster. They have Deion Jones, who played a lot of the last game alongside Nick Jackson. So there's so many linebackers. And with Levante David being 35 years old, this might be the final run for him. Does he get 100% of the snaps? Do you want him to maybe get 80%, 90%? What does that mean for Servassier Dennis? Do you want him playing the whole time? I think there's going to be a lot of different linebackers kind of with their hand in the pot.
Yeah, at this point of the season, obviously you want to tweak things, and they haven't played Carolina yet, but it is a division opponent, so they do know who you are. And they did split it up a little bit. It was mostly Deion Jones when Servassier Dennis was out for that Thursday game. It was mostly Deion Jones with a sprinkle of Nick Jackson. I have a hard time believing that Todd Bowles would take Levante David off the field just based on
the magnitude,
their relationship. And should Levante be platooned a little bit? Probably, but it's just one of those things where I don't believe it's going to happen. The Anthony Walker situation I find quite fascinating because if they do give him snaps, and he's going to be the freshest guy on the defensive side, just with him being an Indy. He was on the practice squad. He didn't get into any games. So sure, there's some stuff that goes on in practice, but overall, his body's going to be holding up a lot better than 95% of the people across the league, not even just with the Bucs defense. This is a guy that's been here. He's been vocal. He's obviously great friends with Levante David. They stayed at Levante's house during a lot of the offseason training programs in the spring and stuff like that. I would kind of like to see Anthony Walker get a shot if they want to kind of platoon Servassier more because of the injury with Servassier than some of his performance. But at the same time, Servassier hasn't put out the best tape either. There are a lot of options for Todd Bowles. And like you said, these guys are trying to play for next season as well. Levante David isn't, but this season was Servassier Dennis's first time to be in every game starting inside linebacker. Deion Jones, I'm sure, wants to stay in Tampa and stay in the league. Nick Jackson, undrafted free agent, trying to prove that he should be on the 53-man roster and not be a practice squad elevation. I know he's on the roster now. Yeah. And then, same thing with Anthony Walker, kind of with Deion Jones, staying in the league, having a role and showing your importance. I'd like to see a little bit of Anthony Walker, not going to lie. I'd like to see what he can do, especially with the Bucs going to have to commit to stopping the run in this game based on what Carolina likes to do with the football. I wouldn't mind a rotation. I just don't know if I believe it with how Bowles likes to operate.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, Bulls get stubborn, and I think for the fact that they need to win these final 3 games, or at least win 2 out of 3, you keep Levante David out there really until the wheels fall off. But I look at the other inside linebacker position. You mentioned Anthony Walker, just the chemistry that he has with David. I think that makes him more of an option, at least for early downs. And then maybe you trot out Servassier Dennis. I know his coverage has been called into question at times, but he's more agile at this point than Anthony Walker and Deion Jones. Those guys are both in their early 30s, but I look at the inside linebackers, Matt, right now, and I'm like, this will be the final 3 games that perhaps all 4 of them will be starting NFL linebackers because David, he could very well retire. The Bucs could address the inside linebacker position in free agency or in the NFL draft. So I think for these guys, they need to play their best football right now and really mask up the deficiency that is the middle of the field for this defense. And it's going to become even more paramount diving deeper into the defense because Zion McCollum's on injured reserve. And the Panthers have 3 really physical wide receivers. They have a couple tight ends that could beat them. It's like inside linebackers need to step up along with every other position group.
They absolutely do. And, Zion wasn't having the best year, but, he does have that experience and has played in some big games. We saw Kindle Vildor struggle on his birthday as well, allowed this touchdown to Kyle Pitts and then just made no other way to sugarcoat it, just a really bad mistake on that 4th down play that gave Atlanta the first down. We've spoken about this a little bit, but the closer we get to Sunday's game, Adam, who do you believe should be playing outside corner with Jamel Dean on one side? Should it be Vildor? Should it be Benjamin Morrison? Should they call up Bryce Hall from the practice squad? Or should Jacob Parrish move from the inside to the outside? What do you think is the best case scenario for Tampa Bay?
I don't feel optimistic really with any scenario among those options. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you had invested a 2nd round pick in Benjamin Morrison, you should at least see what you have in him because at this point, Kindle Vildor, he's probably not going to be on the team next year. He made that really kind of egregious play at the end of the Falcons game. Can you rely on him for a full game? Like he's going to be out physical by Ted McMillan or Xavier Legette or Jalen Coker. I don't want to see him out there. Jacob Parrish, I think he's a fine nickel option, but you don't want to put too much on his plate, especially because the second half of his rookie season hasn't been like the first half of his rookie season where he really hit the ground running. I feel like it's been a lot more down than up in recent games. So keep him at nickel, maybe elevate Bryce Hall if you need an extra body. But Benjamin Morrison, if Jamel Dean walks out the door in the offseason, which indications are that he probably will, you want to see if he can be a starting caliber corner because the Bucs already doled out $16 million a year to Zion McCollum. We're going to see if that pays off, but they have to hit on the other cornerback position at the very least, and hopefully it's Benjamin Morrison.
I think you got to live and die with Benjamin Morrison. This is a guy that's played in a lot of big games, even though everyone knows how I feel about Notre Dame, but they occasionally they will play some big opponents. They typically lose those matchups, but I still think about Benjamin Morrison versus Marvin Harrison Jr. when Ohio State beat Notre Dame, but that was a great matchup. And if you're the Bucs, you're going to try to get Dean on Ted McMillan, but BMO has the intangibles to hold up with a guy like McMillan. And I think sometimes the mistakes he's made have been overblown a little bit. His ceiling is certainly higher than even Jacob Parrish and really any of the other options that they have. So I think you just got to go down swinging. Because, there could be an argument made that Benjamin Morrison should have played over Zion and just keep Jamel Dean at outside corner. So it's funny because when we asked Rondé, he was like, well, if this was 2 months ago, I would say Jacob Parrish, but now that has changed just a little bit. I think it's important for each rookie, especially in the secondary, to just focus on that one position. So I think BMO is going to be the move. I'm sure Todd Bowles will say, well, in this package, we have this. In that package, we have that. And certainly that's fine. I hope the biggest thing for me with Benjamin Morrison is just that I don't know if he's going to be able to hold up. You never know when that hamstring injury is going to flare up. I know this time around he's rested it even more and has, the Bucs have kept him out of the lineup as well. But damn, man, we can't go one game without a Bucs player getting hurt. Zion got hurt relatively early in that game. I could see the same thing happening with Benjamin Morrison, and I don't want it to happen. But at one too quick of a burst, and bam, the hamstring injury comes out once again, and then Benjamin Morrison's out, and you got Kindle Vildor, and then what about Jamel Dean and his injury history? I don't know. It's a tightrope that the Bucs are walking right now. They better call up Bryce Hall to just elevate him for this game because We saw the Josh Hayes experiment, and I get it. He's great on special teams, but I do not want to see that at all in Sunday's game unless the Bucs are up by 60 and, they're just trying to get the healthy starters off the field.
Yeah, the situation at corner, I think you painted the picture really well. It could get bad really quickly with Benjamin Morrison and then also Jamel Dean. Like, he's a ticking time bomb. You're always kind of waiting. No, when's he going to leave the game with a hip injury or pull his hamstring or whatnot? So I think cornerback's going to be it's going to be interesting to see what they do, especially because it's Bryce Young on the other side, and he's not a world beater, but is it going to be the latest quarterback that Todd Bowles makes look good? I mean, it happened to Tyler Shuck. It happened to Kirk Cousins, even Jacoby Brissett a couple weeks ago. He almost beat him.
Yeah.
But now it's Bryce Young, and he's someone who he hasn't had a ton of success against the Buccaneers. So it's going back, kind of looking at he's faced the Bucs 4 times so far in his career. He hasn't really had that elite game yet. Is that going to happen this time with Dave Canales calling the shots and having more weapons for him to work with?
It certainly could be. And to be honest, I've been making some good money just on betting the over on the passing yards of whichever quarterback is going against the Bucs. The only one that hasn't hit in recent weeks was Tyler Shuck, but that's because he ran for 50-plus yards and scored 2 rushing touchdowns.
And it was raining.
Kirk Cousins had a career day. Jacoby Brissett threw for over 300 yards. Obviously it was the string against the MVP candidate quarterbacks where their entire highlight reel, whether it was Drake May, Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, where they all had their, best performances, all 3 of them individually. And so I think Bryce Young's probably going to have a good game by default, just based on what Tampa Bay has done defensively, and there not being too many options for finding other ways for them to really stop what their opponent's offense is going to do. But I have made some good money with quarterbacks going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you can make some good money on this game by going over to Splash Sports and using their quick picks. Join over 2.5 million people playing on Splash Sports. It's the home for Survivor, Pick'em, and Quick Picks. They have the best daily fantasy boost in all of daily fantasy sports. They do Monday night matchup boost. They do Thursday night matchup boosts as well. They do some specific props as well. Like you can get a huge boost on Jackson Smith and Jigba for tonight's awesome Thursday night game between the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. That's going to be a fun one. Matthew Stafford, who's having an MVP year. Sam Darnold, who's played a lot better this season. I mean, he played great last year as well, but, has helped the Seahawks really be in the running to win arguably the best division in football. So 2 quarterbacks that are very interesting to watch, 2 great teams, 2 teams that the Bucs have played this season. You get the best multipliers in daily fantasy sports over on Splash Sports. So make sure you download the QR code, download the app with the QR code on the screen. I'll have my picks for that game as well coming out shortly after this podcast. So shout out to Splash Sports. Download the app. Get those quick picks in for tonight's game, for the weekend games, because you could do it for college football. You got the playoffs coming up. You could do it for all the professional sports, and, of course, the Bucs game coming up on Sunday. One last question I have for you about the defensive side, and it has to do with getting to the quarterback. There's still somebody out there that can help the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that is Jason Pierre-Paul. Is it the number 1 option that I think people would have wanted? No. But he's the only guy that it feels like he could inspire some confidence in this group to get after the quarterback. Will we see JPP, or do you at least want to see JPP suit up and get a pass rush going for the Bucs in Sunday's game?
You know what, Matt? I definitely want to see JPP out there for Sunday's game because the stakes are high. Why not trust a guy who's been in the NFL for so long? He's accomplished so much. Would you rather have a 36-year-old JPP or Chris Braswell is the question. And I think undoubtedly you go with JPP. If it's a 3rd down, do you want to trot out Chris Braswell and you're like, he might get a pressure. Oh, he might do something. Or JPP where it's like, you've seen him do things before and he has the pedigree. He, like, you listen to him, he gave his first press conference, I believe it was last week, and you could tell he's someone that has a little bit of aura, a little bit of badassery to him on a defense
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just filled with nice guys that, just have their lunch pails, they clock in and they clock out. So I think for this game, I want to see JPP out there. Obviously, you start with Yaya Diaby and Hassan Reddick, and probably sprinkle in some Anthony Nelson because, he made a big play against the Panthers before.
Yeah,
But
that one.
JPP, yeah, that's a great picture. But at least maybe get him 10, 15 snaps, see if he has some juice, because at this point, why not? The defense is desperate. There's a problem at cornerback. We talked about the inside linebacker situation. For all the bad things, JPP, at least, he could do something.
I was glad that you got to see a JPP press conference
Yeah.
up close and personal. Because I had so much fun covering JPP when he was with the team from 2018 to 2021. Obviously, the Super Bowl winning season, there was COVID and everything was on Zoom. But JPP, he's not like a direct quote machine the way that, Baker is, or I think like Tez Johnson is kind of a good example of that. But he just speaks from the heart. Sometimes it goes like all over the place, but like it's always meaningful, direct stuff. And the big thing with JPP is no one is more confident in themselves than the way JPP is confident in himself. I mean, this guy is relentless as well. I mean, we all know the fireworks accident that he had, and his career could have been wrapped up, but no, he kept going. He kept pursuing. He fractured vertebrae in his neck in a car crash going into that 2020 Super Bowl season. Could have sat out the whole year, could have been, not a huge part of the team. He had 8.5 sacks in 10 games. And then even coming back, he last played, I want to say 2023. He last played. He said in his press conference when he spoke to us coming back last week, he said, never in my mind did I think that I wasn't going to be playing football again. And if I didn't sign with the team this year, I'd still be trying just as hard to sign with the team next year. So does he have anything left in the tank? I don't necessarily know. He certainly got fresh legs, like we were talking about with Anthony Walker. But you can't go any worse than having JPP out there for, like you said, 15 snaps, whatever it may be. Don't ask him to do too much. Just say, hey, JPP, get after the quarterback. He's about 7, maybe 8 sacks away from 100 career sacks. He's obviously not going to get it this season. But this guy still has something to prove. He can strike fear into Bryce Young. I can tell you that much. And if he finds, you imagine, I know it's a road game, but can you imagine how crazy Bucs fans will go if JPP finds a way to get to the quarterback and record a sack? I mean, what does that say about the rest of the edge rusher room where this dude, and Yaya Diaby's having a solid year, but everyone else, like this dude hasn't played in 2 seasons, practices on 1 short week with the Bucs having a Thursday game, comes in and takes down the quarterback? What does that say about everybody else in the room? So I would love to see JPP in Sunday's game. I don't know if the Bucs will commit to it, but I would certainly consider it. And he's not going to save the Bucs, but damn, he could definitely light a fire this team really, really needs at this point of the season.
And is it crazy, Matt, that I feel like JPP's signing could be a lot more impactful, and it already kind of is, than Shaq Barrett last year? Like, Shaq Barrett was like kind of a cool story that he returned, and like he wasn't that removed from playing football. But on the flip side, I see JPP, and man, like athletically, like I've never seen him in person. He has an insane wingspan. Like he's just a freak, and he looks in amazing shape. So I feel so much more like optimistic he could do something than I ever really felt with Shaq Barrett coming back last year. And for like the pass rush being in the situation it's in, they have to trot him out there. Like if they don't elevate him for this game, like I would be shocked.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the big difference with Shaq too is, Shaq was coming off a couple of, really tough things in his life. Obviously the passing of his young daughters, the most heartbreaking thing that could ever possibly be. And I believe he tore his Achilles before that too. Yeah. So like, he's coming off of a major injury. And I think there was a year removed from that where like JPP has dealt with injuries, but not, and knock on wood, not like torn ACL, torn Achilles and stuff like that, where the recovery is a little bit more adaptable to, not playing for a whole season or 2 seasons in JPP's case, and then being able to go out there and do really anything. And right now the Bucs pass rush is kind of like that meme with the thing with the stick, just being like, do something.
Yeah,
like,
come on.
Yeah, like that's the Bucs pass rush, at least with the 4-man front at the moment. But we got a couple super chats to get to. Oh, sorry, go ahead, finish your point.
Well, I was just gonna say it's crazy, Matt. You mentioned that because I was looking at over the past 2 seasons, this season and last season, the leading sacker for the Bucs is Vita Vea with 11.5 sacks, and you're going over a stretch of 31 games, and the leading sacker is Vita Vea. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, it really is. We got a couple of super chats to get to. Also want to remind everybody that we have one more show tomorrow, but it's an exclusive bonus show. If you are a Pewter Platinum or Premier member, we have a Pewter Insider coming up tomorrow at 1:30. It'll be myself and Scott Reynolds. It's Bucs future forecast. So the way we're treating this episode is feel free to ask us whatever about this team, whether it's the current team, what's going on next season. Give us crazy hypotheticals. What if they fire Todd Bowles? What if they keep Todd Bowles? What if Baker Mayfield requests a trade? Not that we think it's going to happen. What if they fire Jason Light and keep Todd Bowles? What if, whatever crazy scenario you want to come up with. What if Mike Evans retires? What if he comes back and signs a 2-year deal? What if they go all in on Max Crosby or something like that? Whatever you want to talk about, that is what we will discuss on tomorrow's Pewter Insider at 1:30. We're still figuring out the holiday plans with Christmas next week and, New Year's the following week. So definitely want to take advantage of this episode on Friday and answer as much as everybody wants to talk about. And then, of course, that's Friday. Then Sunday, we're going to have the Pewter preview show. That'll be at 9 a.m. on Sunday, the day of the game of Bucs versus Panthers. We'll go into a couple more specific details and specific matchups for the Bucs and the Panthers. Talk about the biggest storylines going into the game, the latest injury news, even though, thankfully, this week there's really not too much injury news. And then, of course, the Pewter Game Day show will be at 1 p.m. on our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV, myself and Daniel Morales, giving some play-by-play reactions, analysis to everything going on in Bucs versus Panthers. I really want to call a Bucs win because they've lost 5 of 6, and it's been tough sledding, but y'all still rock and roll with us, and really appreciate that. And then one last thing before the super chats, also want to say thank you to our Pewter Platinum members for all of your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. So shout out to Scott Federico, Scotty J, Rachel Gordon, Noah Parr, Dave Anderson, Eric McMillan, Hezo813, Ash Fishpool, Joel L. Rican, Sam, John Dale Morris, Zach Brannikin, RP89, Kevin Thomas, Mario Thomas, Leighton Carter, Brandon Riley, The Guy is Gifted, Alec Bickler, Nick Dubuque, Dominic Tarantino, HK Bucks, The Real Maverick, Brayon Pinkney, Brian Shucker, Black Gold 1999, Steven Zuhl, King James 813, Fear the Crew, Henry Gigante, Robert Mackin, Todd Pittner, Giles Dowden, Monster Jam Fever, PC Snowflake 937, Hemp Tim, and then there was one other from yesterday. I apologize. There was one extra addition. We'll make sure we get that on the list as well. But thank you so much, everybody, for your support of PewterReport.com. We greatly appreciate it. Let's get to some comments and some super chats as well. Matt Hinkson says, Pewter Report, best podcast ever. Thank you so much. We really
appreciate that.
Yeah. We try to put on the best show for everybody, so glad that you are enjoying.
And the shows have been longer, too, as of late, so that's been fun.
Yes, well, with them losing, people want to voice their frustration, and we get it. So if you super chat us, we will answer. So, I mean, theoretically, you can keep the show going for 3.5 hours if that's what it takes. And then Michael Barr 6930, thank you for becoming a Pewter Report YouTube channel member with an awesome
I was going to say, I love it. God forbid a white boy get a little motion.
Exactly. And they might need that from Baker in this game. So thank you so much for your support. Tate Miller, appreciate the $4.99 super chat. Thank you. Says Jacob Rodriguez, the Buccaneers, please. Turnover machine that leads one of the best defenses in the nation. Exactly what we need. Absolutely. Big fan of Jacob Rodriguez. I've started to dip the toe into the draft waters just a little bit. There's no question that inside linebacker is arguably the most important position of need going into this offseason. And I'm very excited to watch Texas Tech's defense in the college football playoff. They have a first round bye, so we won't see them until next week. But the last I looked at the bracket, I think they would play Oregon if Oregon beats James Madison, which likely they will. So that'll be a really fun matchup. But yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of the Texas Tech defensive players coming out of the draft this season.
And with Jacob Rodriguez, he just has the look and he has the play of a football player. And Jason Light, he's gone on record in the past, you know, talking about pass rushers. They want somebody who's had production in college. Okay, now put that at inside linebacker. Draft somebody who has had a record of production. Jacob Rodriguez fits. And I was watching, and you watched it too, the Fix Your Franchise that Trevor Sikkema and Connor Rogers did. One of the mock drafts, they had Rodriguez going to the Bucs in the 3rd round. So it'd be cool to see him in Tampa Bay.
It would really be. They need an upgrade. Sorry, we got to that one. Mark Fisher, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says, hey guys, so what do you see as having a team dialed in or not baffles me? How both Tampa Bay and Carolina both lost with so much on the line. If we lock in, we win Sunday. Yeah, I just kind of feel like the Bucs, we've seen this before, they get in their own way at times. And it's just simple little mistakes. And it's not exactly just not being dialed in. Like, was Mike Evans not dialed in his return where he had 132 receiving yards and everything like that? It's just, it goes both ways with the coaching and the players, but everyone just needs to step it up. It's, you know, everyone knows what's on the line right now. It's not like anyone's going to Carolina being like, oh, damn, like, we're all tied in the division. Like, no, nobody's thinking about that. The Bucs have the better talent. There's no question about that. So in theory, they should win this game, but it's going to come down to the coaching staff and other intangibles as well.
Yeah, in theory, they could win it. And with Carolina, when I look at the mat, I see an inconsistent team. I see a team that has really good ups and really bad lows. So I think that the Bucs could very well win this game. And they've shown in the past that they've had that urgency. They've had that fight, you know, to win at the end of the year. This year, I just haven't seen the same sense of urgency, but that could all change over the final 3 games. I think these 3 games are going to say so much about the team, not only this season, but going forward. And that really starts in Carolina this Sunday.
It's just so funny to think they could win 3 in a row and have the same 10-7 record they had last year, but it would just be wildly different than what they did a season ago. Fidel Castro, thank you for this $9.99 super chat, says, love Uncle Scotty and Cousin Maddie. Been a Bucs fan for 30 years, and this offseason, finding y'all is my first year. Having a Bucs community to share the pain and tears with. Salute all y'all's hard work. Well, thank you so much for the kind words. Really, really appreciate that. And love the community we've built with people in the comments, whether you're a Pewter Report YouTube channel member or not. It's fun just going back and forth. Each and every one of you bring great football takes. You're smart. You're inquisitive as well. And also, we see a lot of hilarious comments throughout the year. So thank you for the kind words. We really appreciate it. And
the best fans around, and I'll add, like, the community is what makes it fun. Like, when you see comments and there's just people like commenting on this podcast or commenting on a video, and you can just get into some back and forth. And like, Bucs fans are really smart too. They've seen a lot of bad football. They've seen a lot of good football, and like, yeah, it's just really enjoyable.
That they have. By the way, another enjoyable thing and place, of course, is walk-ons. They have 3 in the Tampa Bay area location, 1 in Wesley Chapel, another in Lakeland, and a 3rd in Midtown Tampa, not far at all from Raymond James Stadium, and where I live as well. I don't live at Raymond James Stadium, but not far from it. With the Bucs on the road, it's a great spot to go and watch the games. They have tons of TVs, awesome happy hour deals with an assortment of drinks and fantastic appetizers as well. And then also, it is the holiday season. You can still get a gift for friends, families, loved ones with a Walk-Ons gift card if you want to do so. If you buy $50 worth of gift cards, you can get $10 free on a gift card as well over at Walk-On. So get in on that awesome deal and enjoy all the food and drinks over at Walk-Ons. A couple more comments and super chats to get to before we close out the show. Wanted to go to this one from Tommy Leverone, who's a Pewter Report YouTube channel member, says, "Hi, Matt and Adam. Great show as always." Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What grade would you give Josh Grizzard for the season? Adam, I'll let you start with this one.
That's a great question. Earlier in the show, I said last week against the Falcons,
Yeah.
I would have given him a B for that game specifically. But I think overall in the year, I'd give him a B-. I feel that you have to curve it a little bit just based on the amount of injuries and adjustments he's had to make. It's not something Dave Canales or Liam Cohen really had to go through to that extent. But at the same time, with Grizzard, I see more Canales than Liam Cohen, just based on, I don't know if it's stubbornness or just a lack of kind of changing things up. And I think Bucs fans and really us too, covering the team last year, we were kind of spoiled seeing an offense function so well. And I think this year has kind of been a regression back to the mean. But I think at the same time, Grizzard's been slightly above average.
Yeah, I think he's been a little bit better than when Canales was here his first year. And I mean, no one really pales in comparison to what Liam Cohen did in his season with Tampa Bay. So I'm going to give him a B. I think we have to remember some of the games, like him finding a way to score points when you had Tez Johnson and Cameron Johnson as like your deep ball threats against San Fran. The Seattle game as well. And with all the injuries and stuff like that, like say you had all 4 starting receivers for, 6 games this season versus just the final 4, that could make a big difference as well. And dealing with the assortment of the offensive line, I think has to be factored in as well. So I'll give him a solid B, but I think it's a good question. Fidel Castro had a comment as well. I think Grizzard is overwhelmed and don't know how to be creative with all our talent on offense. I mean, respectfully, I disagree there. They scored 28 points in the first game with Jalen McMillan and Mike Evans back. Now you saw what Mike did, and Jalen looked pretty good. He'll probably get more snaps this next game. So I don't think we can fully assess that yet until I'd say probably this game and then the Miami game.
Yeah, and again, I think with the injuries, they play such a big part. I don't think it's necessarily like Grizzard's looking at the play sheet and he's like, "Oh man, I don't know what play to call." I think a lot of it, as he alluded to today, has been the execution. I don't think it's all been on him. For sure, things could be different. Things could be called better. And I think he was a little bit stubborn in the first New Orleans game when he ran the ball from the 1-yard line just over and over and over again. But at the same time, I feel like he hasn't been overwhelmed. It's more been a product of circumstances, too.
Definitely agree with that. B. Shucker, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, missed most of the show, but thanks as always. We appreciate that. And of course, it's archived on our YouTube channel. You can check it out whenever, and it'll be on the audio version will be on Spotify and anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. So you can always go back and check it out later, but we thank you for your gratitude. Kevin Thomas, thank you for this $20 super chat.
Thank you.
Appreciate that so much. Thank you, Kevin Thomas. Says, great job as usual, guys. I'll be there Sunday looking for Josh. LOL. Merry Christmas to all, and hopefully Santa brings us at least 5 straight wins. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you as well, and happy holidays to everybody in the chat. And yeah, that'd be a great Christmas gift, is the Bucs winning out and making some noise in the postseason, which now that all these receivers are back, maybe they can win in a shootout type of game and make a run.
Yeah, and it would be an early Christmas present too if they won it on this Sunday.
That as well. Yes. That as well. We have David,
I think there was another one.
Yeah, David Dosher, thank you for this 99-cent super chat. Says, checking in from Starkville, Mississippi, and Cade has to take a backseat to Devin Culp. I would love to see Devin Culp get more involved. And I know the knock against Devin Culp is, oh, well, he's not that physical. He's not that much of a blocker. And if he's in the game, then like it might be a little more telling of what they're going to do. But I mean, like when Bruce Arians was the coach, yeah, they had Gronk and Cam Brate. Cam Brate was never known as like a big time blocking tight end. He would go and do it, but a lot of times they just had an extra offensive lineman come in and go and block. So like if you want to make Ben Chikuma a swing tackle or Charlie Heck a swing tackle, then still have Devin Culp out there, I think you could still get some mismatches and still run the ball if you wanted to, or go and throw it with Devin Culp. I want to see more of Devin Culp. It probably won't come at the expense of Kate Otten, but I think there's a way to, get each of them involved.
Yeah, and at least in run situations, like if Kate Otten plays a Sunday, you have Kate Otten and Payne Durham, they can be out there. But on third downs, why not have Devin Culp out there instead of Kate Otten? Just another option who can get down the field a little bit quicker too, being a faster, more athletic tight end. If the linebackers have to account for him, that might open things up for maybe Bucky Irving or Rashad White in receiving situations too. So I think Culp has more upside than maybe this offense is giving him. And just based on his traits, like his intangibles, I think that should amount more playing time.
Hopefully, and obviously Otten could be a free agent. Well, he is going to be a free agent after the season. We'll see what they decide to do with him, but it could lead to a more expansive role next season for Devin Culp. But that's a long ways away before we talk about that. We could end up talking about it on tomorrow's Pewter Insider, though, as we will be talking about the Bucs' future forecast. Feel free to chop it up with whatever you want to talk about with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, whether it's present or the future of the team or different wild and ridiculous hypotheticals as well. We're going to have the Pewter pregame show on Sunday at 9 a.m., previewing the game. And then when the game kicks off at 1 o'clock, it'll be the Pewter game day show, myself and Dana Morales giving play-by-play to everything happening in the game. And then we'll have a Pewter postgame show as well, breaking down, hopefully a Bucs win, but surely breaking down the game as well. If you're not already doing so, actually, we have a late super chat.
Yeah, last second.
Thank you to the Oil Brigade for the $6.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, been watching the Raise the Flags documentary on Prime. I suggest everyone here to watch it. If you haven't, it's unreal. Love Pewter Report. Let's freaking go, Bucs. Thank you for the kind words, and absolutely agree with that. If you haven't watched the Raise the Flags documentary yet, it is fantastic. I haven't even finished it yet. I've watched the first 6 episodes. The last episode, it ends with the firing of John Gruden. So still have 4 more episodes to watch. Can't wait to finish it. I'll probably end up watching one tonight. Probably finish it by the end of the weekend. So much Bucs history, so much great insight, intel, tons of guests they talk to, tons of people on the show. The Glazer family, SR's in it, Rick Stroud, a lot of former players and stuff like that. And, as the chronology of the years go by, you're going to see new faces because new players join the team and all that stuff. So it was a fantastic job. Well done. Cannot recommend it more if you haven't watched it. We've been talking about it like every day in the Bucs facility too. So it's really resonated with everyone. And I think it was a fantastic job.
And there's a lot of great things to watch on TV right now. Don't get me wrong. Like season 5 of Stranger Things, Fallout came out last night. But when it comes to the Bucs documentary, you have to take time out and watch it because there's just so much insight, so many untold stories, and they do such a good job with it. Like how many NFL teams out there have a documentary of this quality out there? Like not many. I think it's going to make some Bucs fans at the same time while also bringing some nostalgia to some of the people who have been watching and following this team for 50 years. So just a really good job, and can't recommend it enough.
Definitely. Yeah. I almost want to go and watch it again and restart it. Might have to wait a little bit.
Find new things.
Yeah, exactly. Find new things. But just like you said, just like the super chat said, just a fantastic documentary and great job. And hopefully, it reaches more than just Bucs fans and the Tampa Bay community. So nice super chat there at the end by the Oil Brigade. So, the Oil Brigade. So, yes, if you haven't already done so, check out the documentary and also make sure you follow us or docuseries. Make sure you follow. Oh, yeah, that's the last thing as well. Shout out to the Bucs. They were very kind to give us a media kit promoting the documentary. We posted it on our X and Facebook and Instagram and everything like that. Couple of different little memorabilia items, creamsicle banner, replica ticket from their first Super Bowl win, a paper program of their last win in 2020, winning the Super Bowl, some other different things, a VHS,
Yeah.
Bucs player cards and stuff like that. It was super awesome. Class act by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So thankful to them, and super cool to see with all the memorabilia. So just want to say thanks to the Bucs again for giving Pewter Report that media kit box, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it was awesome and fantastic. Okay. If you haven't already done so, please make sure you follow us on all of our X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report, and our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on this video what you feel about the Bucs docuseries, what you feel about the Bucs and their game coming up on Sunday against the Panthers. But that'll do it for us on today's show. For Adam Slavon, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you soon for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peace out.
Out.
Bye-bye.